I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I see that we have a respondent present. Does the city want to go in the order of the agenda, or do you want to move the present respondent up to the front?
Take it in the order with the respondent. Thank you.
Take it in the order of the agenda, or?
With the respondent?
So we'll move the respondent to the first case?
Correct, sir.
Okay. So for the benefit of the respondent, my name is Drew Smith. I'm the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate for the city. My role here today is to be an independent fact finder. I do not take either side in the case. I will hear all the evidence that's presented. Order procedure will be the city will present its case. After they are done presenting its case, you will have the opportunity to ask any questions you have of the Code Enforcement Officer. You will also have an opportunity to present to me any testimony or evidence you'd like me to receive. Everybody is going to present testimony today. If you'd please rise and raise your right hand, and I will swear everyone in. Do you all swear or affirm the testimony you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. And clerk, you may call our first case, which will be, which one are we taking first?
Number ADMC.
Item 3.
ADMS?
It's C.
Okay, ADMC.
Case number 2020-701, ADMC Designs Owners, location of violation 1033 New York Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. Violation St. Cloud City Code 13-3 and Land Development Code Sections 3.3.1F. Description of violation, failure to prohibit but rather allowed construction prior to obtaining a permit.
Good afternoon, Diana Durham, City of St. Cloud Code Enforcement. I am presenting this case for the property located at 1033 New York Avenue. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: a copy of the notice of violation sent by regular mail, copies of the notice of violation sent by certified mail, copies of the statement of violation, notice of hearing sent by certified mail, the affidavit of posting, a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, evidence of mailings, a copy of the code section in violation, a copy of the deed of the property, and a copy of the cost incurred if the special magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $213.60.
You can hand it to me. Thank you.
On July 8th, I received, oops, got it backwards. Sorry about that, I have the wrong paper. On March 18th, I received a complaint at this location for a new door that was installed without obtaining the required permit. I verified that there was no active permit for construction at this location. Upon my arrival, I observed a red stop order posted by the building department for new construction. I spoke to an employee who had advised me that office management was aware that a permit was required. 2 photos were taken. Oops. Wait a minute. That's not, I don't
It's
know
all
what that
messed
is. Because that's yours, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think you put them in order. Oh, no.
Going backwards, you need to go forward.
I was, but it's on the wrong case, Jay.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they moved it around. He didn't realize that. There we go. There, we got it.
March 18th, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So we're good there. All right. On May 11th, I verified a permit application had not been submitted. I mailed a notice of violation by regular mail to the owner on record, giving them 10 days to obtain a permit. On May 24th, I received a phone call from the office manager stating that the contractor was working on a permit and requested additional time. I gave them till June 11th to get that permit. On June 12th, I verified that a permit application had not been submitted. I mailed a notice of violation by certified mail to the owner on record, the property manager, and the registered agent, giving them 10 days to obtain a permit. On June 26th, I spoke with an employee at this location. He advised the office manager was unavailable at the time of my inspection. I left my business card with the employee to give to the office manager, requesting them to contact me. On July 8th, I verified a permit application had not been submitted. I mailed a statement of violation, notice of hearing by certified mail to the owner of record and the property manager and the registered agent. Supervisor Sparkman posted the property and City Hall with a statement of violation, notice of hearing, and an affidavit of posting was completed. 2 photos were taken. Could you do it backwards? Mm-hmm. Okay. On July 24th, Carlos Gomez called stating he was the contractor hired to obtain a permit for this location. He requested the information that will be required to bring this location into compliance. I advised him a permit was required and needed to be obtained before this case would be in compliance. He advised he would take care of it. As of August 17th, a permit application has not been submitted to the permitting department. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of failure to prohibit, rather allow construction to be completed prior to obtaining a permit. The city would recommend that the respondent is given until September the 1st to obtain a permit or pay a fine of $250 a day until compliance is met. The city would also request that the costs incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $213.60 be paid within 7 days of the written order of the special magistrate. This concludes my presentation.
Respondent? And if you'd start off by stating your name and your relationship to the property for me, please.
My name's Natasha Stanton. I'm the general manager of the hotel.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to apologize, actually, because it's just ignorance. We didn't think we needed a permit. The problem is, since then, we've tried every company, every general contractor that we know, and we just cannot find anyone who will touch the work that needs to be done and to gain the permit.
What issues have the contractors, what
They seem to be concerned that they'll be responsible for any other issues that might crop up, and they're therefore not willing to get involved. Even though I did speak to Joe Dupriest at City Hall, and he said he'd talk to the companies and assure them that they wouldn't be held responsible, but nobody's interested. I mean, I've tried probably 25 companies here, Orlando, Kissimmee, and our general contractor from the other hotel, he's tried as well on my behalf. Even he couldn't do it for some reason.
So as we sit here today, you're no closer now than you were when you started
exactly.
trying.
And I actually asked Joe if we should just, because the door was rotten, that's why we replaced it. But I said to him, what about if we just rip it all out and board it up? Honestly, I am at a loss as to what to do. I didn't receive a response from Joe, but this was only this week because I was getting desperate and didn't know what else I could do.
Okay. If that's all you have for me now, I'd like to bring the code enforcement officer, and Jack, you might want to come up too. So you heard the respondent's issue, and I'm sensitive to it. If they are working with the city, and I can't do much because ultimately you have to have a code compliant building.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you what the right thing to do as far as taking the door down and boarding it up. That will be a building department decision. I don't know if that will require permits too. But the city has asked for an August 31 compliance date, and given the state of what they're telling me where they are, I don't see that as being particularly reasonable under the circumstances if they have done everything that they're saying that they've done to try to work this out.
I would propose to the magistrate that the city would be comfortable with a finding of noncompliance and a compliance date set down for the end of September, because that'll allow enough time, certainly I would think reasonably, for one of two avenues to go. Either somehow they find a candidate to help them obtain the permit, or alternatively, work with the city building official to do a reconstruct, takedown, or board up until such time as they can recommence the process. And that would give them essentially 5 weeks. That way the city gets their finding, but there's ample time for the respondent. Would be our position.
So, ma'am, that would give you until September 30th to try to work through whatever solution you can find, whether it be in getting what's there permitted or removing what's there, and as you say, boarding it up if that's practical, but finding some solution with the city. Do you think that you can do that by September 30th?
I'm happy to work with whatever makes you happy. What my question is that if we took the door down today and boarded it up, would we then be allowed to just apply for a permit to put a new door in that's hurricane-proof and everything, which was the issue?
Building department question.
They were the ones that originally put this,
Because
the building official, the reason why I got called in was originally the building official put a stop work order on that. And that is how I got involved, was because there was no permit, so it gets passed on to me. So, yeah, you would have to talk to Joe. And if he says that's okay, and he sends me an email with that he's okay with that, then it would be good for me.
If I could, and I could just make as a suggestion, with a compliance date of the end of September, as I'm sure the magistrate knows, we're scheduled to be before you next month. If there's some difficulty between now and the compliance time on the horizon for the respondent, they can come before you conceptually at the time of our next meeting to explain what's going on with the building official and where we are.
Yeah, and if there's no objection from the city, ordinarily here, the city will ask me to enter an order that allows me to impose fines upon the presentation of an affidavit, at which point you would have an opportunity to appeal that order. It's a post-notice opportunity for appeal, or a post-order notice of opportunity for appeal. If there's no objection from the city, what I'd like to do on this case too, for that reason, is to go ahead and set a pre-order Massey hearing type hearing if there is not compliance, so I can hear what's going on with the property.
Yeah, we have no objection to that.
Anything else from either party? Ma'am, do you understand the city is asking for administrative cost of prosecution in the amount of $213.60? Is there any issue in paying that in 7 days?
no.
Okay. So is there anything else from either party, city or respondent?
No.
Okay, then I will enter my order. I will find the property is in non-compliance. It's in violation of the Land Development Code section 3.3.1 and Code of Ordinances section 13.3 due to the lack of permits for the door that was installed. We'll order that the respondent cure the violation by September 30th, 2020. If not brought into compliance by that date, fines of up to $250 could be imposed, but I will not impose fines on this case until after a Massey hearing if there is not compliance. I will enter an order, or include in the order, the award of the administrative costs in the amount of $213.60 paid by respondent to the city within 7 days of the date of my written order. So probably in the next day or two, I will type out an order, sign it, and the date that I sign it is the date that 7 days starts running. It will go in the mail to you that day.
I appreciate
So when you get that, and you can pay that amount at any time, you can pay it before you get the order,
Yeah.
but that's the date that clock starts running, is the date that I sign that order.
Thank you
Okay.
very much. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you. So now are we back on agenda order?
I think so, yes.
Case number 2020-218, Progress Orlando LLC, owners, location of violation, 4593 Baylor Trails Drive, St. Cloud, Florida. Violation, St. Cloud Land Development Code Sections 3.3.1F and 13.3. Description of violation, failure to prohibit but rather allowed a fence to be installed at this location prior to obtaining a permit.
Good afternoon. Alex Miller, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of St. Cloud. I'm presenting this case for the property located at 4593 Baylor Trails Drive. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: copies of the notice of violation sent by regular mail, copies of the notice of violation sent by certified mail, copies of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail, copy of the PowerPoint presentation, affidavit of posting, evidence of mailings, copy of the code sections in violation, a copy of the deed to the property, and a copy of the cost incurred if the magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $214.40. The respondent is not here. On January 30th, 2020, during routine patrol with Officer Durbin, a notice of fence was being installed at this location. I checked the permit records and found no permit application was on file. I made contact with the contractor and advised them they need to obtain a permit for the fence being installed and gave them 7 working days to correct the violation. On February 11, I checked the permitting records. No permit application had been submitted. I mailed a notice of violation to the owner on record requesting to obtain a permit within 7 working days. On February 27, I checked the permitting records. No permit application had been submitted. I mailed a notice of violation by certified mail to the owner on record, giving the owner 7 days to comply. On March 10, I checked the permitting records. No permit application on record. Due to the pandemic, the case was placed on hold. On June 3rd, I checked the permitting records. No permit application had been submitted. Due to the pandemic and the time lapse, I was advised to mail a notice of violation by certified mail to the registered agent on record, giving them an additional 7 working days to comply. I received a letter back dated June 9 stating that this authorized agent does not have any involvement with the property. On June 17, I checked the permitting records. No permit application had been submitted. I mailed a notice of violation by certified mail to the owner on record, giving the owner 7 working days to comply. On June 23rd, the owner signed for the certified mailing, making the day for compliance July 1st. On July 1st, checked the permitting records. No permit application had been submitted. On July 9, Officer House made contact with Mr. Askim, a representative from Progress Orlando, who stated that he was going to take care of the violation. Owner had until July 30 to come in compliance. As July 31st, a permit application has not been submitted to the building department. I mailed a statement of violation and notice of hearing by certified mail to the owner on record. I posted the property and City Hall with a statement of violation and notice of hearing. An affidavit of posting was completed. 3 photos were taken. On August 8, I received a signed certified mailing. On August 14, I checked the permit records. No permit application had been submitted to the building department. 2 photos were taken of the fence. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of not obtaining a permit for the fence installed at this location by the time specified. The city will recommend that the respondent be given until August 31st, 2020 to obtain the proper permit or remove the fence, or a fine in the amount of $250 be assessed until compliance is met. The city also requests the cost incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $214.40 to be paid within 7 days of the written order by the special magistrate. And this concludes my presentation.
Do you know if the property is occupied?
Yes, it is, sir.
And the fence we're talking about, is the piece in the front all that was installed, or
No,
do we
it
know
was
if there was
the
all
full
way around?
perimeter, yes.
Based on the evidence testimony received, I will find in favor of the city, find the respondent in violation of Land Development Code Section 3.3.1, and Code Section 13.3 for failure to obtain necessary permits in relationship to the fence that was constructed. Will order the respondent to cure the violation by August 31st, 2020, if not brought in compliance by that date. A fine in the amount of $250 per day for each day the property remains in noncompliance will be imposed until compliance is met. Will also order the respondent to pay the administrative costs incurred by the city in the amount of $214.40, which shall be paid by the respondent within 7 days of the date of my written order.
Case number 2020-528, Nancy Caceres, owner, Unique Brown, tenant, location of violation 1408 Florida Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. Violations, St. Cloud City Code, Section 24-52A, description of violation, failure to prohibit but rather allowed an abandoned vehicle at this location.
Good afternoon, Pam Neal, City of St. Cloud Code Enforcement Officer. I am presenting this case for the property located at 1408 Florida Avenue. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: copy of the courtesy notice sent by regular mail to the tenant, copy of the notice of violation sent by regular mail to the owner and the tenant, copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail to the owner and the tenant, copy of the notice of violation with the new date sent by regular mail to the owner and the tenant, copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail to the owner and the tenant and posted on the property and City Hall, copy of the PowerPoint presentation, copy of the affidavit of posting, the certified card signed for by the owner, the notice of violation from the tenant sent back unclaimed, the certified mail receipts from the statement of violation notice of hearing, a copy of the deed to the property, copy of the code sections in violation, copy of the cost incurred if the special magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $237.90. And the respondent is not here. On March 2nd, while on routine patrol, I noticed a gray van with an expired tag at this location. On March 3rd, a courtesy notice was sent to the tenant. On March 18th, a reinspection was made, and the van was still there with the expired tag. On March 19th, a notice violation was sent by regular mail to the owner and the tenant. On April 3rd, a reinspection was made. The van was still there with the expired tag. And I have one photo right there. On April 17th, a reinspection was made, and the van was still there in violation. On May 11th, the reinspection was made. The van was still there in violation. And I took two photos. On May 12th, a notice violation was sent by certified mail to the owner and the tenant. On May 18th, a reinspection was made. The van was still there in violation with the expired tag. On May 27th, a notice violation with the new date was sent by regular mail to the owner and the tenant, and one photo was taken. On June 20th, Officer Durbin performed a reinspection. The van was still there in violation. She took a photo. On June 24th, a reinspection was made by Officer Howes, and the van was still there in violation and now had a flat tire. She talked to the tenant and explained to her the next step was to go before the special magistrate. She stated that the vehicle was going to be towed off the property by the next day or Friday at the latest. Officer Howes explained that she would check back on Monday, the 29th, and if the vehicle was not gone, the property would be scheduled to the magistrate with no extensions. And two photos were taken. On May 29th, Officer House performed a reinspection, and the van was still there in violation with the expired tag. On July 13th, a reinspection was made. The van was still in violation. One photo was taken. On July 14th, I posted the property and City Hall with a copy of the statement of violation, notice of hearing, sent by certified mail to the owner and the tenant. An affidavit of posting was done. Two photos were taken. On July 15th, a statement of violation notice of hearing was sent by certified mail to the owner and the tenant. On August 5th, a reinspection was made. The property was still in violation. Took a photo. On August 12th, a reinspection was made. The property is now in compliance and the van has a current tag, and I took a photo. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of allowing an abandoned vehicle at this location. The city would like to also recover the cost incurred in bringing this case before the special magistrate in the amount of $237.90 to be paid within 7 days of the written order of the magistrate as well. And that concludes my presentation.
Tire was filled up, correct?
Yes.
Based on the evidence and testimony presented, I will find the respondent was in violation of the City of St. Cloud Code of Ordinances for allowing an abandoned vehicle to remain on the property. Find the violation was cured, but cured after the date set in the notice of violation for cure, and accordingly will award the city its cost of prosecution in the amount of $237.90, which amount shall be paid to the city within 7 days of the date of my order.
Thank you.
Case number 2020-716, Edward Truman, owner, location of violation 316 Pennsylvania Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. Violation Land Development Code Sections 3.3.1F and 13.3, and the International Property Maintenance Code Sections 308.1, 304.15, 605.1, 604.3, 302.5, 302.1, 704.1, 305.6, 102.2, 603.1, 601.2, 301.2, 704.2. Description of violation: failure to prohibit but rather allowed the residential dwelling to be lived in without proper maintenance and repairs, and failure to obtain the proper permits for the two structures built at this location.
Good afternoon, Pam Neal, City of St. Cloud Code Enforcement Officer. I am presenting this case for the property located at 316 Pennsylvania Avenue. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: a copy of the International Property Maintenance Notice sent by certified mail to the owner and posted on the property and City Hall, a copy of the Statement of Violation Notice of Hearing sent by certified mail to the owner and posted on the property and City Hall, copy of the PowerPoint presentation, copy of the affidavits of postings, the certified mail receipts, a copy of the deed to the property, copy of the code sections in violation, a copy of the cost incurred if the special magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $361.20. On March 25th, I received a call from the police department stating that a warrant was served at this location and they found numerous violations and that the violations needed to be documented and the owner cited. And 15 photos were taken by the evidence clerk. On April 1st, an International Property Maintenance Notice was sent by certified mail and posted on the property and City Hall. An affidavit of posting was done. One photo was taken. On May 4th, reinspection was made, and it appeared nothing had been done, no permits were obtained, and I had not heard anything from the owner. On July 13th, a reinspection was made, and it still appeared nothing had been done, and no permits were obtained, and still no word from the owner. On July 14th, I posted the property and City Hall with a copy of the Statement of Violation Notice of Hearing sent by certified mail. An affidavit of posting was done. I took 3 photos. On July 15th, a Statement of Violation Notice of Hearing was sent by certified mail to the owner. On August 5th, a reinspection was made, and it still appeared that nothing had been done. No permits had been obtained or even applied for, and I hadn't heard anything from the owner. On August 12th, a reinspection was made, and it still appeared nothing had been done and no anything from the owner. August 17th, reinspection was made, and the property was still in violation with no word from the owner. And the respondent is not here. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of allowing the residential dwelling to be lived in without proper maintenance and repairs and failure to obtain the proper permits for the 2 structures built at this location, and to have all the maintenance and repairs and permits obtained for the 2 structures or the structures removed by August 31st, or pay a fine of $100 a day until compliance is met. The city would like to also recover the costs incurred in bringing this case before the special magistrate in the amount of $361.20 to be paid within 7 days of the written order of the magistrate as well. And that concludes my presentation.
The portion of the violation related to the allowing the residential dwelling to be lived in without proper maintenance and repairs, what maintenance and repairs needs to be performed?
Well, there's rotten wood everywhere. There's extension cords hanging everywhere. Numerous things plugged into one extension. Just all kinds of violations like that. It was the evidence clerk that took the original pictures inside. It was during the COVID, so code enforcement wasn't working during that time.
Do you know the evidence clerk, the authority she had to enter the property and collect evidence?
With the police department, they did a warrant in there.
Jack, you want to come up? There's nobody here to raise an objection.
Right.
But I have some concerns over the authority of the city to collect the evidence. This is the city, under the circumstances, the police collecting evidence under police authority as opposed to code enforcement collecting evidence under code enforcement authority. And I think the opinions of the Attorney General have been fairly clear that code enforcement can only collect evidence with a warrant or evidence. Does the city have an argument to present as to the evidence of the interior of the property?
Well, I think that, first of all, as you know, the Code Enforcement Department works hand in glove with the Police Department. The Police Department obviously carried out, based on probable cause, their warrant, and then made what they found in plain view available by way of photographs to the code enforcement. I think that that's an acceptable chain of evidence in support of a code enforcement action based upon there's no poisonous tree type of violation, would be our argument with regard to those findings internally. We can go back and review those photographs from the initial presentation, if you can go backwards to show those items that were stemming from the initial.
It's the evidence of the interior, and there was enough here. I can find the violation on the exterior. If this case moves forward, you'll probably need a reinspection anyway. But I do have some concerns over the interior collection. I have concerns over the fact of the police executing, I'm guessing, a police warrant. This was not a inspection warrant. This was an arrest warrant. Am I gathering that correctly?
Right.
They're wearing their police hats. And again, opinions are clear that when police are on property wearing the police hat, they cannot be acting as code enforcement officers. So I have concerns over the interior of the property. As I stated, though, I think the exterior of the property, those photographs, those were visible from the right-of-way. That gives me enough to find the violation, but I want to make everybody aware that I have concerns, and if this case proceeds, I may have concerns entering an order if that order is based entirely on what's happening on the interior of the structure. unless there has been, more to get an interior inspection of that structure than police there executing a police warrant.
And understandably, the city will be, as you mentioned or suggested, following up with a reinspection, probably in a tandem effort between police department and code enforcement, if not solo code enforcement, to satisfy the magistrate's concerns.
I don't think he won't let us in on, just for code enforcement to go.
And that is a challenge for code enforcement
Right.
because
That's
we
right.
have a hard time getting administrative inspection warrants when it's a residential structure that's being occupied.
Right.
Although this is a rental structure.
No.
No, it's owner occupied?
Yep. That'll certainly be something code enforcement will work with the other city departments to address for purposes of moving forward hereafter.
Based on the evidence testimony presented, I do find that there is sufficient evidence, even when limited to considering that evidence of the exterior of the property, to find that the cited violations exist on the property. The other issue I have with staff's recommendation on this one is the August 31st date. And this is one of those where the violation is bad enough. It's obvious to me there's a violation there, but at the same time, it's obvious to me that there's probably more time needed than 10 days to get that cured.
Okay.
And then you say this is owner occupied.
Yes, sir.
And then he's got the structures without the permits too. I can't tell if he's taken them down or not because he's,
Okay.
Is this a property owner who, based on your interactions with the property owner, let me put it that way, who doesn't care, or is this potentially a hoarding situation?
doesn't care.
Okay. I'm just going to give a little bit more time. Instead of August 31st, I'm going to say September 15th for a compliance date.
Okay.
I will include in my order the rest of staff's requests, though, and including the administrative costs in the amount of $361.20 to be paid to the city within 7 days of the date of my written order.
Thank you.
Case 2020-1087, Diamond Homes LLC owners. Location of violation, 1106 Oregon Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. Violation, St. Cloud City Code Sections 24-162A. Description of violation, failure to prohibit but rather allowed high grass weeds over a height of 8 inches at this location.
Good afternoon, Melissa Howells, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of St. Cloud. I am presenting this case for the property located at 1106 Oregon Avenue. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: a copy of the notice of violation sent by regular mail, a copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail, copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail posted on the property and City Hall, a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, affidavit of posting, evidence of mailings, the code sections in violation of, a copy of the deed to the property, and a copy of the cost incurred if the magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $239.25. The respondent is not here. On June 10, 2020, during routine patrol, Officer Durbin noticed the high grass in violation at this location. On June 11th, Officer Durbin sent out a notice of violation to the owner of record to correct this violation within 7 working days. On June 22nd, a reinspection was performed and the violation was not corrected. That same day, Officer Durbin sent out notice of violations by certified mail to the owner of the property and the registered agent for the corporation. The certified mailings were signed for on June 24th and June 30th, which put the date for compliance on June 30th. I'm sorry, the date for compliance was June 30th and July 10th. On July 9th, Officer Durbin took 11 photos showing non-compliance prior to going on vacation. On July 14th, I received another complaint on the high grass and seen that Officer Durbin had a case on this property and would be out on vacation for 2 weeks. I then went to the property and the grass was very high. I took 7 photos showing non-compliance. On July 21st, I sent out a statement of violation and notice of hearing by certified mail. I posted the property and City Hall, did an affidavit of posting, and took 3 photos. The grass had been cut sometime between the 14th and the 21st, but it was already getting high again. On August the 12th, I had to post the property for another violation, and I took 3 more photos showing the grass had been recently cut, putting the property into compliance. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of having high grass over 8 inches in height by the time specified at this location. The city would also request the costs incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $239.25 to be paid within 7 days of the written order by the special magistrate. And that does conclude my presentation.
On your last reinspection, I think you said that you could see that the grass had been cut. What was the date of that reinspection?
That was on the 14th
Of,
July.
and as of July 14th, can you go
I'm
to
sorry.
that photo?
Yeah, the July 21st was when I had to go back to post for another violation, and you could see it had been cut between the 14th.
Between July 14th and July 21st. But as of
Yes.
the 14th, it was still overgrown.
Yes. And then by the 12th, it was in compliance by the 12th.
I was just trying to get the timing right in my head to make sure that it wasn't possible that they had complied before the compliance date.
No,
Okay.
because.
That was July 10th.
Yeah.
According to your
because
testimony,
on the-
and July
on the
14th was
Right,
the
the
earliest.
14th is when I took the photos.
Okay. Based on the evidence testimony received, I'll find the respondent in violation for having high grass and weeds over a height of 8 inches. Find that the respondent cured the violation, but cured the violation after the time set in the notice of violation for cure. Accordingly, will award the city its administrative costs in the prosecution of this case in the amount of $239.25, which amounts will be due and payable within 7 days of the date of my written order.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Case number 2020-1281, Jeremy A. Bell, owner, repeat violation, location of violation, 1001 Vermont Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. Violation, St. Cloud City Code Sections 24-162A. Description of violation, failure to prohibit but rather allowed high grass weeds over a height of 8 inches at this location.
Good afternoon, Diana Durbin, City of St. Cloud Code Enforcement Officer. I am presenting this case for the property located at 1001 Vermont Avenue. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: a copy of the statement of violation, notice of hearing sent by certified mailings, signed for by the post office due to COVID. It just said it was left with an individual on July 10th. Affidavit of posting, a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, a copy of the code section in violation, copies of the photos showing noncompliance, a copy of the deed to the property, a copy of the costs incurred if the special magistrate finds a respondent in violation in the amount of $194.35. the respondent is not here. This is a repeat violation. The previous case was presented before the special magistrate and found guilty on March 21st, 2018, case number 18388 for high grass and weeds. On July 7th, 2020, I received a complaint of high grass and weeds at this location. Upon my arrival, I observed high grass and weeds. And I took 7 photos.
Since you took the time to do it, what was your finding on the height of that grass?
It was, I think, 13 inches. Yeah, 13 inches.
Whether you realized it or not, that was good to use the ruler on this one. Lots of times they are obvious. This one, because
Well,
it's
with it
fairly
being a
uniform.
repeat violation,
Well, it's fairly uniform, so I'll tell you, if I was just looking at the photos, your testimony is valid, but the ruler really helps me on this one, because the very first photo, it's not obvious that grass is overgrown, but with the ruler there, it is. So I appreciate you doing that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
oh, that's okay. Oops. Okay. On July 8th, I issued a statement of violation and notice of hearing by certified mail to the owner. Supervisor Sparkman posted the property in City Hall with copies of statement of violation and notice of hearing, informing the owner he is in violation of the city codes. An affidavit of posted was completed, and 2 photos were taken. On July 31st, I did a reinspection, and the grass was mowed, and the location is now in compliance. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of St. Cloud City Code 24-162A as a repeat violation for allowing high grass and weeds at this location. In May 2014, Mr. Bell became the owner of this property. Mr. Bell has been cited for high grass and weeds at this location 12 different times. Code enforcement is recommending a flat fine of $500. The city would like to also recover the costs incurred in bringing this case before the special magistrate in the amount of $194.35 to be paid within 7 days of the written order of the special magistrate. This concludes my presentation.
What was the date of compliance, the date you confirmed compliance?
July 31st.
Okay. Based on the evidence testimony received, I will find in favor of the city, find that the property owner the property was in violation for high grass and weeds. I will find that it is a repeat violation. I will adopt the city's recommendation of a flat fee of $500. I will include in my order, though, just recognition of the fact that for the period July 7th to July 31st, at $500 a day, I think that comes out to a potential fine of $12,000, because I think the respondent's attention maybe needs to be gotten. So I think the city is being gracious in offering the $500 fine, but I do want to at least bring his attention to the fact that this could have been much higher of a fine in this case. I will also award the city its costs in the amount of $194.35.
Thank you.
Unfinished business, none. New business, none. Next scheduled meeting, September 16, 2020.
Anything else from the city?
No, sir.
Then we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all.